Imagine waking up with the unsettling realization that the life you've been living is not truly your own. That every decision, every belief, even the desires that drive you, may not have originated from the deepest part of who you are, but from the expectations, conditioning, and unseen influences of the world around you. How much of your identity is a reflection of your authentic self, and how much is a carefully constructed mask shaped by external pressures? How often do you feel you're playing a role, living by a script written by society, your upbringing, or the fears whispering in the background of your mind? Today, we explore one of Carl Jung's most profound insights, that life doesn't truly begin until you find yourself. But what does that mean? Is it just self-awareness, or is there a deeper, more transformative process at play? Stay with me, because as we uncover the hidden forces shaping your identity, you will see why most people never truly find themselves, and how you can break free. The final realization we will discuss is the most powerful of all. It can shift not only how you see yourself, but the very way you engage with the world. Carl Jung was a pioneer of depth psychology who ventured beyond the conscious mind to explore the vast, hidden realms of the unconscious. He didn't believe mental well-being was about simply adjusting to societal norms. Instead, he saw psychological growth as a journey toward individuation, the process of becoming your most authentic self. But here's the reality: most people never take that journey. They remain trapped in a version of themselves shaped by external influences. They live according to expectations, never questioning if their life is truly aligned with who they are. They seek outside validation, believing happiness comes from approval, success, or fitting in. Yet, deep down, there is a quiet unrest, an unshakable sense that something is missing. Jung believed true life begins when we stop running from ourselves. But before we can talk about what it means to find yourself, we must first understand what prevents most people from ever doing so. From the moment we are born, we are conditioned. We are given names, identities, and predefined roles. We are taught what is acceptable and what is not, what is rewarded and what is punished. This process is so subtle and gradual we rarely question it. We adapt, we conform, and over time, we learn to suppress the parts of ourselves that don't align with the expectations placed upon us. Think back. Were there moments in your childhood when you expressed yourself freely, only to be met with disapproval? Perhaps you were told to be realistic, to stop being too sensitive, or that certain emotions were inappropriate. Slowly, you learned to hide those parts, to tuck them away. And in doing so, you began to build a mask, what Jung called the persona. The persona is the face we present to the world. It allows us to function in society and gain acceptance. But here's the problem: the more we identify with this mask, the more we lose touch with our real selves. We begin to believe we are the persona, forgetting what lies beneath. And then there's the other side of the coin, the shadow. If the persona is what we show the world, the shadow is what we hide from it. It contains everything we have rejected or suppressed: our fears, unspoken desires, vulnerabilities, and even our hidden strengths. Here's where it gets profound: the shadow doesn't disappear just because we refuse to look at it. It operates beneath the surface, influencing our thoughts, behaviors, and emotional reactions. The parts of ourselves we reject don't vanish, they manifest unconsciously, often as projection. Have you ever intensely disliked someone without fully understanding why? Been triggered by certain behaviors in others? Jung believed that when we are disturbed by qualities in other people, it's often because those very qualities exist within our own shadow. But what if I told you that within this shadow lies the key to true self-discovery? That the parts you've suppressed are not your enemies, but the missing pieces of your wholeness? Jung's great insight was this: psychological growth is not about eliminating the shadow. It is about integrating it. It is about looking into the depths of your own unconscious and facing what you have denied. Because when you do, you unlock a profound source of personal power, authenticity, and freedom. This is where the real journey begins. Are you ready to confront the truth of who you are? To break free from the illusions that have shaped you? Because what comes next will challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself. Most people go through life believing they already know who they are. They define themselves by their name, job, culture, and past. But what if your identity is far more complex? What if the self you believe in is just a surface-level construct, a fraction of a much deeper reality? Jung believed that within every individual exists a hidden world, a vast inner landscape of forgotten memories, suppressed emotions, and untapped potential. The key to finding yourself is not in constructing a new identity, but in uncovering what has been buried within you. Let's reflect. Have you ever felt a deep, unexplainable longing for something more? A sense that a greater version of yourself is waiting to emerge? This is not just imagination, it is the voice of your unconscious mind, calling you toward individuation. But before we can integrate these parts, we must first confront them. And this is where most people stop. Why? Because facing yourself is uncomfortable. It requires looking at aspects of your personality you have long ignored. It demands you question long-held beliefs, challenge your fears, and confront the inner conflicts that have shaped your life. Think about it, how often do we avoid silence? How often do we distract ourselves with work, social media, or entertainment, anything to keep from sitting alone with our thoughts? This constant distraction is a defense mechanism, a way of avoiding the deeper questions. But these hidden aspects do not go away. They surface as anxiety, self-sabotage, unfulfilling relationships, or a persistent feeling of being lost. Jung believed our unconscious mind is always speaking to us, we've just learned to ignore its messages. If we start paying attention, we see patterns. We notice how our deepest wounds influence our choices and how our suppressed desires shape our behaviors. Consider a simple example, the fear of rejection. Many people are terrified of being judged. They seek approval, avoid conflict, and suppress their true thoughts. But where does this fear come from? Is it about others' opinions, or does it stem from an old wound, a moment from childhood when they felt unseen or unworthy? Jung would argue this fear is a shadow aspect that hasn't been acknowledged. Until it is brought into the light, it will control your actions from behind the scenes. But here's the incredible thing, when we face these hidden parts, they lose their power. Imagine living without the fear of judgment. To speak your truth without hesitation. To make decisions not based on others' expectations, but on what resonates deeply within you. This is the power of individuation. It is not about becoming someone new, it is about becoming more of who you truly are. But how do we begin? How do we uncover the unconscious forces shaping our lives? Jung believed one of the most powerful ways to access the unconscious is through symbols, dreams, and introspection. He saw dreams as messages from the deeper self. He also emphasized creative expression, art, writing, music, as a way to access and integrate the unconscious. But perhaps the most important step is simply this: awareness. The moment you begin to question your thoughts, reactions, and deeply held beliefs, you are taking the first step toward transformation. The moment you stop running from discomfort and face it with curiosity, you begin to reclaim your true self. Here's the truth: most people live their entire lives as strangers to themselves. They follow predetermined paths, never realizing they have the power to choose something different. They suppress their true nature, never realizing their greatest strength lies in embracing all that they are. But you don't have to be one of them. You have the power to break free from the illusions, to shed the layers of conditioning and fear, and to step into the fullness of who you are, unafraid and unapologetic. And next, we will explore something even more profound: the hidden archetypes within you. These ancient patterns, buried deep in your psyche, hold the key to unlocking your greatest potential. What you are about to learn may change how you see yourself forever. If the journey to finding yourself were simple, everyone would be living in alignment with their true nature. But as we've seen, the process is complex. It's about uncovering the forces that have shaped us, facing the parts we've rejected, and integrating them into a whole, authentic identity. But here's a question: why do we feel drawn to certain behaviors, desires, or fears? Why do we repeat the same patterns even when we try to change? Carl Jung's answer was revolutionary. He believed that within every human being exist universal patterns, deep-rooted psychological blueprints that influence our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. He called these patterns archetypes. Jung argued that archetypes are ancient, collective images stored in the collective unconscious, a level of the psyche shared by all humanity, inherited from our ancestors. These archetypes shape our identity, our relationships, and how we perceive the world. Think about the stories told throughout history: the hero, the wise mentor, the shadowy villain, the innocent child. These characters appear in myths, religions, and our dreams. They are not just fictional, they represent psychological forces within all of us. For example, consider the hero archetype. This is the part of you that longs for purpose, that feels called to something greater. It seeks to overcome obstacles and achieve a higher version of yourself. But this archetype does not exist alone. It is always accompanied by the shadow. In myths, the hero must confront the shadow, often a monster or a great challenge, before they can evolve. Now, bring this into real life. Have you ever known you needed to change, but something inside you resisted? A time when you had the opportunity to step up, but fear, doubt, or self-sabotage held you back. This is the battle between the hero and the shadow playing out within you. The mistake most people make is trying to suppress the shadow instead of understanding it. But true transformation happens when we integrate the shadow, when we learn from it. Let's say you struggle with self-doubt. Instead of ignoring it, ask, where does this come from? Is it truly mine, or was it planted by past experiences? What lessons does it hold? Could my doubt contain a hidden strength, like humility or the ability to see multiple perspectives? When we see our struggles not as weaknesses, but as messages from the unconscious, everything changes. But archetypes go beyond the hero and shadow. One of the most powerful is the anima and animus. Jung believed that within every man exists a hidden feminine side, the anima, and within every woman, a hidden masculine side, the anus. This isn't about gender, but about the balance of energies within us. The anima represents intuition, emotion, and creativity. The animus represents logic, structure, and assertiveness. When these forces are in balance, we feel whole. When they are out of balance, inner conflict arises. A man who rejects his anima may struggle to express emotions, seeing vulnerability as weakness. A woman who rejects her animus may struggle to assert herself, hesitating to take control of her life. But when these energies are embraced, they become a source of immense strength. This leads us to a crucial truth: to find yourself, you must embrace all parts, the light and the dark, the masculine and the feminine, the known and the unknown. Individuation is not about becoming something different, it is about becoming whole. But there is one final piece to this puzzle, one last revelation that ties everything together. The greatest obstacle to finding yourself is not just fear, self-doubt, or conditioning. It is something far deeper, hidden in the very fabric of how we perceive reality. And next, we will uncover it. What you are about to hear will challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself, and it may just change your life forever. Throughout this journey, we have explored the hidden forces shaping your identity, the masks, the shadow, the archetypes. But now we must confront the deepest illusion of all, the illusion of self. Most people assume their identity is fixed, a single, unchanging self moving through time. But Jung, and many great thinkers, understood something radical: the self is not static. It is fluid, ever-changing, and far greater than we imagine. What if the you identify with is only a fragment of something much larger? What if the person you think you are is just one expression of a limitless consciousness? Jung explored this through the concept of the self, not the small, ego-driven self, but the true self, the totality of who you are beyond the illusions of identity. This realization is liberating and terrifying. It means that everything you have believed yourself to be, all the fears, limitations, and stories, is not the full truth. It is merely a construct, a temporary framework built by the mind. And here is the most powerful truth of all: you are not just a single, isolated being. You are a vast, interconnected field of consciousness, carrying within you the wisdom of generations, the depth of the unconscious, and a potential for transformation beyond imagination. But if this is true, why do we feel so limited? Why do we experience suffering, doubt, and fear? The answer lies in the ego. The ego is not the enemy. It is the part of the mind that creates a sense of separation. It is the voice that says, "This is who I am, and this is who I am not." It builds walls, defines borders, and keeps you tethered to familiar patterns. While the ego serves a purpose, it is also the greatest obstacle to self-discovery. Because in truth, you are not limited to a single identity. You are a being in constant evolution. The moment you stop clinging to who you think you are, you unlock infinite possibilities. But how do you do this? How do you step beyond the illusion and into the fullness of your existence? Jung offered a path, one that requires courage, deep introspection, and a willingness to surrender everything you thought you knew. First, embrace the unknown. Most people fear uncertainty, but the unknown is where growth happens. When you lean into the mysteries within you with curiosity, you begin to see the world, and yourself, with new eyes. Second, release attachment to labels. You are not just your name, your job, or your past. You are something beyond definition. Letting go of rigid identities creates space for something greater to emerge. Third, listen to the unconscious. Your dreams, instincts, and intuitions are not random. They are messages from the self, guiding you toward wholeness. Tune in, and you will recognize patterns and synchronicities leading you to your true path. Finally, surrender to the process. Finding yourself is not a destination. It is an ongoing journey, an unfolding of deeper and deeper layers of truth. And here is the ultimate revelation: you were never truly lost. You have always been here. The self you have been seeking has been within you all along, waiting to be remembered. So now, the choice is yours. Will you continue living as a fragment of who you are, bound by old fears and illusions? Or will you step into the unknown, embracing the vast, limitless being you were meant to become? Because life does not truly begin until you find yourself. And now, you know the way. Thanks for listening.